Tonight we're gonna go on our flight back to Europe with Swiss in the business class of the Boeing 777 from Bangkok to Zurich. And while flying over 12 different countries, I'll give you a complete and honest report about Swiss business class on their newest long-haul plane, the Boeing 777. And boy, there's quite a lot to say, not only about their food and drinks, but also about their business class in general. The cabin looks immaculate and the seats are beautiful, but I will show you that the most impressive seat doesn't guarantee for the best passenger experience, and that Swiss hospitality makes up for a couple of unexpected flaws on this premium airline of the Lufthansa Group. But before all that, let's head to Bangkok airport, check in 140 pounds of luggage and visit the lounge before boarding for our 11-hour flight from tropical Thailand to the Swiss mountains. Come with me and let's fly Swiss.
Go to heaven ready สบายแล้ว
I've arrived here many times and I've departed from here many times, but every time I'm so impressed by the sheer size of this huge airport terminal. Now we're going through the temperature check again. Isn't it amazing how empty this terminal is right now? Well, I just realized I can still have a tax refund for the items I purchased here in Thailand, so I just did that, and now we go to check in the luggage. Today again the small luggage. One of the big advantages of flying Swiss from Asia to Europe is their generous luggage policy that comes with business class tickets. 2 pieces of checked luggage of 32 kilos or 70 pounds each are included in the ticket, and that's pretty special because airlines like Singapore Airlines, Qatar Airways, Etihad or Emirates only allow a total of 40 kilograms, and that means a third less than on Swiss. And one more information, on today's flight there are 101 passengers in economy, 20 in business class and 5 in first. Well, I cannot say enough how empty this airport is. It's just unbelievable. But they're using the time very well by renovating the area, and that's actually the right timing because this airport is never gonna be this empty again. By the way, we're gonna visit the Turkish Airlines Lounge today. Turkish Airlines is a member of the Star Alliance, just as Lufthansa and Swiss, so this is just a logical lounge for them. However, if you have a priority pass, then you have also access to the Turkish Airlines Lounge, even if you're just traveling in economy class, because priority pass owners have access to the lounge of Turkish Airlines here in Bangkok, and also, by the way, to the Air France lounge and also to the Oman Air lounge. I know that because 2 years ago I went on Emirates on a business class flight though, so I used their lounge but also wanted to see the other lounges, so I just went there with my priority pass and just checked them out. Was quite interesting and nice to see. And after quite endless walking and searching in this empty huge airport, we finally arrived at the Turkish Airlines Lounge. So let's check that out. So I'm here now at the Turkish Airlines Lounge, which also serves to business class passengers of Lufthansa and Swiss, because they're all Star Alliance. And I'm pretty impressed because even though there's an alcohol ban at the moment here in Thailand, they serve wine and sparkling wine and beer. And well, I have just Coke and some vegetables, stir-fried vegetables, but they also have a selection of 8 warm dishes, and then they have of course snacks, and they have regular soft drink and some vegetables also, and some fruits. So it's actually quite a nice lounge. It's not amazing, of course, nothing compared to say Emirates for example, but for the moment here with all the COVID crisis, it's really not bad. I'm so curious now. I would never have thought that I would go on Swiss back to Europe. That's really been a very last moment decision, and now I'm really curious how it's gonna be. Of course, I'm the last one, like always. I was by far the last passenger, so boarding was very fast. But I'm sure that with the plane being more than half empty, everything went very smooth also before I arrived. I entered a plane that looked clean and tidy, like it was just delivered, and the design of their business class sure looks very Swiss. Clear, elegant, and somehow cozy too. Well, there was already so much going on since we boarded the plane. I already had to decide what I would like to have for dinner and also what I would like to have for breakfast, even though breakfast is more than 10 hours away still. But I got an extra menu, so I could mark what I would like to have for breakfast. All kinds of coffees and teas and juices and all kinds of breads. And this I could have either with Swiss breakfast, which would be a selection of cold cuts and cheese, or American breakfast, which would be some warm egg dishes. So that's what I did, and that was quite busy. I'm so impressed already now how friendly the staff is over here. That is so highly professional, and they're not just like professionally friendly, but with a happiness and friendliness, welcoming the passengers, and you could really feel the excitement about their job, and that is something really wonderful. And actually just in the moment when I reached the door of the plane, they were so nice, and I felt so well right away. The captain just said that we have to wait a little, so there's time to take a closer look at the seat already. So let's have a look at the seat. A little seat tour, and well, let's start with the seat itself. It looks pretty nice, and I mean, I will do the lie down position a little later, but now let's head at the storage, because that looks already quite good. On this so-called throne seat you have some storage down here and furthermore down there, so you can store already lots of things on this side of the seat, and there's also more storage up here that looks nice and is useful too. Then you have a small storage under the monitor screen for all the little things you could easily forget, like glasses or other documents. Well, more about that later. Then there's something for magazines, and then you have this drawer coming out here for more things that need to be stored away but should be in easy reach. Looks quite nice actually. Then there's a hanger over here. I don't know what to hang here, as no shirt is that short, but it looks nice. And there's some headsets waiting here that look quite like noise cancelling, but we'll have a closer look at them later. Then there's a reading lamp over here, and you find the seat controls here, and in the armrest there's a remote control for your monitor screen, and there's also controls for your seat again, including a button for the massage options, and you can also adjust the cushion inside the seat for more or less lumbar support. And then you have this lovely cute lamp that gives the whole seat a really nice and cozy atmosphere. So this is the whole seat, all nice and cozy, and yet it looks quite elegant actually. And you'll also get a nice thick pillow, and there's also a large blanket for the night. However, they don't provide mattresses or seat covers for the night. And then there's the table that you open with a release button, and you pull it out like this, and it's pretty adjustable, and it also feels quite sturdy. However, it's not exactly huge. And back in again. And we are rolling to take off, or we're taxiing to take off, and we need to fasten our seatbelts. And here at this plane, the 777 of Swiss, we have this here, like in a car. Anyway, so we are super secured now, and after takeoff we can take off this part of the seat belt. Now let me tell you really quick how I got to the idea to go on this flight. I had a paid ticket on Emirates, which I cancelled for free because I actually hoped for an award flight on Cathay Pacific first class via Hong Kong to Frankfurt, but they were still not offering that. So I also looked into Etihad because they offered quite inexpensive business class tickets. Then I thought about flying Singapore Airlines with miles to Istanbul and then on to Germany with Turkish on an extra ticket, but smooth transit in Istanbul with check-in luggage out and in again seemed unlikely in COVID times. I could have taken Qatar Airways again, but I just enjoyed the great queue suite and wanted to experience something new to present for my channel. But then I looked at something quite important and real, my luggage. And that brought me to the unexpected decision, flying Swiss.
Ich schenke jetzt extra schön ein, wenn Sie es filmen möchten.
Ja, natürlich. Ja. Das ist ja nett. Vielen Dank.
Sonst macht das nicht immer so schön.
Da glaube ich aber nicht.
Noch ein Wasser dazu?
Ja, gerne, gerne.
Oder
Mit Sprudel.
Und Zitrone?
Gerne. Wirklich sehr nett. Well, the appetizer looks really very nice. Maybe not as posh as on Qatar or Emirates, but actually as nice. It looks just more tidied up, so to speak. I don't know how to say that, because it's really a very nice appetizer. But what is really so impressive is how nice the staff is. You really see how much they love their job, how much they love to host the guests here in business class, and it's just a joy flying with them. I'm really, really impressed. Well, the only down thing that I might be able to say is that once the table is folded out, you are trapped. You cannot go out anymore. Actually, I just wanted to get another stand for my camera just to show you something by dinner, but that's not possible anymore. I'm trapped here. But that's not really a negative thing. It's just how it is with the table on a plane seat. Now let's have a look at the wines on board Swiss. I don't sleep very well on planes, but this will give me the chance to try all the wines, I think, on this flight. And well, I had some champagne first, and that was quite nice. It's not the big selection that you're used from, let's say, Emirates and Qatar, but I think the wine should be nice. So I'm gonna have now, after the champagne, I'm gonna have now this Merlot from Switzerland. That's a Merlot from the Ticino area. So, it's mild, very mild. It's nice. They're so fast here, they already are serving the main course. And actually it's great that the service is very fast after takeoff on a late night flight like this one. So people can go to sleep right after takeoff, more or less. Anyway, they just served the main course already, which is this. Scallops and prawns and grilled pineapple. So that looks quite nice. I'm not 100% impressed yet, but maybe it tastes really good. And then I asked for another wine, and we'll have a Riesling from France. And you know, Riesling is actually a German grape, but the Alsace region always change between Germany and France according to who just won another war. But anyway, we have this now, Riesling from France. Isn't that a nice joint venture? And that's a wine I really like. Well, the prawns are a little dry. I mean, they looked a little dry, and they are, but I think that's also a little difficult on a plane. However, I just realized again how wonderful scallops taste, and they taste really good. And they also have something like this, you know, this vegetable, I don't know in English. In German it's mangold, I think. And it's got a bitter taste, and that's what I really like. Bitterness is a taste that's almost gone from menus worldwide actually, but it's also a taste that is important, I think. And well, they dare to offer it, and it tastes really good. Preparation of this video and this flight, I already read a couple of days ago that there's a new collaboration between Swiss and the chef of the Peninsula Hotel in Hong Kong, who's also executive chief or executive chef of the whole Peninsula Group. He's originally from Switzerland, and now you can guess what they're gonna have as their first main dish. Zürcher Geschnetzeltes, that's beef Zurich style. And with it we'll have a look at the red wines, and here I'm having a Swiss Merlot and a French Syrah. And unfortunately the Swiss Merlot was again a bit bland, while you can't do much wrong with Syrah on the plane. The Zürcher Geschnetzeltes tastes like it should taste. It's nice and soft, and I think I'm quite a good cook myself at home. I would do it this way. It's a rather uncomplicated dish, of course, but then it's special too because it's unpretentious and tastes just good. However, I must say that except for being served on china, I would expect something like this in economy class as well. Again, it tasted good, just as you get it everywhere in Switzerland. I was just wondering, do they really need to hire the executive chef of the Peninsula hotels for both this recipe and this presentation? And if that makes me want to go for dinner at a Peninsula hotel? What do you think? Let me know in the comments. Finally, we're having a look at what is a highlight on a couple of airlines. The Amenity Kit. The Amenity Kit is a Verinox branded metal box that is normally used for writing utensils, and it opens like this. And it contains eye shades, and they are really of good quality and can be used later on. Then there's earplugs wrapped in paper instead of plastic. And then there's hand cream in a tiny, really sad tube. Then there's toothpaste, and where there's toothpaste, there's also a toothbrush. And I'm talking so slowly because there's nothing left, and the music is so pretty and still going on. And of course there's socks. But wait a minute, is that all? Isn't there something missing, like a lot? So here we are at the bathroom of Swiss and at the business class, and I'm a little surprised. This is what I expect from the Lufthansa Group. There's nothing. Maybe it has to do with the COVID crisis, but other airlines have also a COVID crisis, and there's still lots of nice things. So I don't see anything here. Maybe there's soap in here, I hope so. And well, I mean, I'm really very impressed by the staff. The staff is really the amazing thing about this airline so far. The food was okay, it was good, it was not outstanding at all, it was just good. So I know better places to eat, and I know very cheap places that are much better than the food that I got here, but it was okay. And what I don't like is that there's almost no amenities. The amenity kit is super basic. I mean, it's a tin box by Verinox, but it's, I mean, maybe worth 3 euros or 2 euros. And here I am in this beautiful Boeing 777 of Swiss in my Qatar Airways pajamas, ready to go back to my seat. It's time to lie down a little on this 11 to 12 hour long flight, and the seat goes down to its lie flat position pretty fast and smooth, so the seat engineers did a really good job here. There's, by the way, also a quite interesting official video on YouTube about how they made this new business class seat. It's not as simple as one might think. Unfortunately, Swiss doesn't provide seat covers or light mattresses in business class for the night, so I improvised and grabbed a blanket from an empty seat and used it as a seat cover. If you like my flight and travel reports, please give me a thumbs up, and if you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, do it right now with the bell notification. It costs you just one click. I'm really happy, and you're making a big difference for the future of this channel. So, I'm in the sleeping position now, and just a few words about this seat. Once it's in the sleeping position, it's quite nice, and there's also space for the feet. However, there's not so much space here at the shoulders and arms. This seat is called a throne seat at Swiss, and you normally have to pay extra for this seat, and it's quite expensive on top of the business class fare, and there's only one seat like this per row. That means there's two seats and then one seat. It's always alternating between the right and the left side. And this is the single seat, so you have aisle access, but you also have the window to yourself. However, it's a little tight here around the arms and shoulders. It's not so easy if you're not used to that, and if you're a little larger, it might get a little difficult. Otherwise, it's a comfortable seat. So I just changed from the throne seat to this window seat over here, because the throne seat is simply too tight. I'm not a very good sleeper on planes anyway, but that is just too much. And here you have at least a little more space. You have the armrest here that you can lower down. However, it doesn't go completely down, it doesn't go on the level of the seat, but it ends like 5 centimeters above the level of the seat, so that's also not fantastic, but it's better than nothing, and you can put your arm on there. Of course, if you have a neighbor here, it's not so great, but I don't have a neighbor right now, so that's okay. And otherwise, if you have a neighbor, you have to jump over them. That's not so fantastic either, but it's better than being completely tightened up like in the throne seat. So you have more space here, and then you also have more space at the legs, you see, because you can move the legs here a little, which you cannot do also on the throne seat. There's just tight up here and down there, so I would never do that. And I don't know who tried that throne seat. You cannot really enjoy that seat unless you're a really tiny person. Well, I hope you forgive me if I'm like super detailed now and a little picky, but these headsets are not noise cancelling headsets. I was really expecting that they're noise cancelling, but they're not. So they're just headsets that go over the ear, but other than that you really hear the noise of the plane in its full sound. And I'm a bit shocked actually. I was really expecting that Swiss would have noise cancelling headsets in business class. I mean, come on, this is really nothing special anymore, and everybody should have it. They have this super new business class cabin and no noise cancelling headsets. I don't understand. I already thought when I saw this that might be not the plug for noise cancelling technique. Anyway, just need to say it because I think it's quite important. You cannot listen to your music in a quiet way. And then about the flight show, or the monitor actually, the monitor screen, the TV screen, it's a nice screen, and it's also very nice to have the remote control over here that's really very responsive. So that's what I can say. The remote control is really responsive. The other thing I like is that in the audio program, in the music program, they finally put classical music first. And that's something that is almost modern. Breakfast has been served and it's about 1 hour and a half still until landing. Well, I ordered some smoothie, then grapefruit juice, an espresso and cappuccino just to be sure that I really wake up. Then some fruits, bircher muesli, that's really nice and fresh muesli. Some Swiss style bread, that's a kind of very fluffy sweet bread. And this is the Western egg dish. I thought that would be scrambled eggs, but it looks something like, I don't know, something with potatoes and, yeah, egg. And some jam is here. So outside is the golden sun. Inside is still the little sleepy passenger. Double shot cappuccino. And I hope that all my talking in between is also a little useful and helpful for you. For me, it's really very interesting because it's my first flight on Swiss on a long haul business class, and quite a number of things were like surprising to me. This was pretty interesting. There are quite some very nice things about here, and some not so great things that were as surprising as the nice things. So I'm sure breakfast will be wonderful now. Grapefruit juice is good, but from the can, but it's like natural juice. And the smoothie is really nice too. It's, I would say, some peach and the rest I don't know. But good. Well, now everybody look. This is how a real bircher muesli should look like. It should have apples, nuts, some cereals, and some fruits, and all as fresh as possible. And this is what I get here. And I have to say, the only time I got that on a plane was with Qatar Airways. Qatar also has a pretty good bircher muesli, and all the others don't. Once I was flying on Lufthansa first class, and I mean, of course it was a nice flight, but the muesli was shocking, in a bad way.
Looking at the catering on our flight, I think that the beverages were okay and the food was good and tasty, but except for the muesli, it was not outstanding, but all served with great hospitality that made everything taste so much better.
And I like that they have thick cups that keep the coffee warm. I mean, it's a kind of a very Swiss thing. They're really basic. It's not very like chic or something like this, but it's very functional. And so is this cup. It's thick. The design is like, it could be also from not a nice senior's home, but it keeps the coffee warm, and that's the most important thing about it. And now a few words about how I booked this flight and why I booked this flight. Well, I booked the flight with Lufthansa Miles and More Miles, and that was 71,000 miles plus about 250 euros in taxes. And for that I get from Bangkok to Düsseldorf via Zurich. It's always a little sad that the Lufthansa Group takes all the fees and taxes from the passenger. I mean, other airlines do that too, but some airlines don't do that. But Lufthansa always has done it, and I'm sure they will always do it. I just find it a little much when you have a return flight, for example, that you already pay 250 euros per way, so that's 500 euros only in taxes and fees, and then on top of that all those miles. And now they have a new program where you don't need to spend all that money for fees and taxes, but then you have to spend more miles. So actually that's not a big change. It's just the same price just from the back door. So I don't like this kind of policy, but this is something about the Lufthansa Group. They try to do these things actually regularly.
Now, before landing, there's finally enough light in the morning to give you a full comparison of the seat options, because the experience really depends on where exactly you sit in this cabin.
Well, I said quite a few things about this throne seat now. Especially great about this seat is that you have so much storage. You have storage down here, you have storage here, and you have storage in here. And it's very different on the double seats, and 80% of the plane are the double seats. And there it's again something totally different. It's really a totally different story, because, for example, when you're here at the really nice window seat, which is not great because you have to jump over your neighbor, but if you're alone here, it's a great seat because you have all this legroom. Look at this. That's really great. But you don't have storage. You have only this. So that's not much, because here there's no storage. There's only like a place to put your glass, and that was it. And down there's nothing, because that's for life vests. And there's only something for magazines. The same, by the way, with this seat, even though this one has very good legroom too, and it's by the aisle. But if you're in the middle seats, in the middle double seats, then it's again a different story, because these seats do have storage. This one here has the storage here, and you have the great legroom here if you're directly by the aisle. If you're not directly by the aisle, but there's this console between the aisle and yourself, the legroom is again a little obstructed. And over there you have again some storage to put your stuff over there. So you see, it really depends on where you sit. The seats have quite different features, and you need to know if you need a little more legroom, if you need maybe a little more storage. It's really depending on the seat if you get that or not.
So, to sum it all up, I think the big plus of this airline is the staff. You can see that they're highly trained, and you can feel that this is not just a job for a couple of years to them, but a lifelong profession that they're really good at. And it's that professionality that feels very special. You can see that they love to host and they love their job. For the rest, I think the seat is good. It's got some pros and some cons, and sitting is great while lying down can be tight if you're bigger than average. And it's a very special and unique cabin, I would say, that looks just very beautiful, and it's very clean and tidied up. But why do they offer such basic amenities? I don't understand it. Looking at the catering on our flight, I think that the beverages were okay and the food was good and tasty, but except for the muesli, it was not outstanding. But all served with great hospitality that made everything taste so much better.
And look what I got just now. I told them in the beginning that this is my first flight on Swiss, on a long haul flight in business class, and they gave me a little gift. That's so cute of them. And this little toy plane that will for sure find a nice place in my home. So we're about to land in a short while. The captain just thanked everybody that we chose Swiss for this flight. And I want to thank you very much for watching this report.
And there's so many more interesting flight reports and also destination reports in the planning, and I'm thrilled that I can share all this with you. So if you like this report, please give me a thumbs up. That really means a lot to me. And if you haven't subscribed yet, please hit the subscribe button right now with the little bell. That would be fantastic. Oh, and this is what happened next.
So here I am between the seats, between flights, between countries, alone in Zurich airport because I left my passport and my boarding passes on board my last flight. My flight, connecting flight to Düsseldorf, starts in like 10 minutes, so I won't make that. And I know nobody wants to go to Düsseldorf, but I have to.